Welcome back. Will Worsham joins us now for this week's Speaking Legal discussion. Will, thanks for coming in.
Glad to be here.
Yes.
Did you run by the Krispy Kremes that we had over there?
I ate a donut.
He did. I saw it.
That's how you do it. Good stuff.
Yeah. We'll work it off now.
No, me too. Okay. But first, we have a legal question to get to from a viewer. I was injured in a car wreck 3 years ago. Is it too late to file a claim? 3 years ago. Is that a stretch to sort of tie your current status to something that happened 3 years ago?
Well, and that's a different question, really. But honestly, no, it's not too late to file the claim. Missouri on an auto accident injury has a 5-year statute of limitations. So you have up to 5 years to bring a lawsuit if you need to. And that's really what we're talking about, lawsuits where the statute of limitations is going to apply. But your take on it is a little different. To tie my current situation to that's going to be a much different question. But related back to the question, the reason the statute of limitations is 5 years is sometimes it takes that long to find out what the long-term repercussions of an injury could be.
I see.
It can be years before we really know what the extent of the injuries are, if it's a severe accident, how long the rehab is going to take, if somebody's in a coma, what's the recovery prognosis. And so the law allows you to take your time and see what's my prognosis going to be. And that sometimes is the problem with the quick settlement opportunities, we'll call them. A lot of times you'll find the insurance company that wants to settle with you calls you quick, makes you a fast offer, and it sounds really good. But you may not know until months, maybe even years later, depending on the severity of the accident, what type of long-term injuries you might have.
How can you prove
advice.
How can you prove that the injury that you now have, whether it's arthritis or what was caused by the wreck?
And that has to be through medical testimony. Really is the only way to do that. And evidence is evidence. There's no magic formula, anything to that.
Can't they just say, well, I mean, it could have been something else?
And that's where we get into arguments about all that. And so you get your expert witnesses and their expert witnesses, and you take depositions and you gather the evidence. And ultimately, if you can't come to an agreement to settle on that, you get to have a trial with a jury. And 12 people get to decide who's at fault and what the damages are and how much they should pay.
And you would think that between the initial accident and the court appearance, you would have to dig through all sorts of medical history, what's happened to you in the interim.
Absolutely.
Any kind of a life change. Did you fall off a bicycle? I mean, who knows?
And your prior medical history is at issue as well. Did you suffer an accident prior to this accident or some injury that could be a contributing factor or could be the actual cause of this? Now, there are elements of law that say you take your victim as you find them. So if you have a weak neck from a prior injury and the car wreck, you had greater damages because you were already injured. That really isn't your fault.
That could be the straw that broke the camel's back.
And you take your victim as you find him is the way the law generally interprets that rule.
That's good advice, though, too, because I suppose there are some that would come forward with a quick settlement. An insurance company, don't get greedy. It may sound good at the front end, but man, the human body has a way of having to take a little time to deal with these things.
It does, and it's not only the insurance company, but unfortunately, sometimes your lawyer is can be looking for the quick settlement too, because they get paid on a contingent fee. You hire a lawyer on a contingent fee. They don't get paid until you settle your case. There's an incentive for them to settle that case quickly, potentially as well. Now, they want to get maximum value because they're getting a percentage, but always be careful, I think, of the quick settlement. Make sure you're getting the right answer for your damages, and don't be in a hurry to settle those cases. Make sure you really know what's going on before you accept the settlement.
One more question. If you go through a lawyer and you settle, are you done with that company? Like if you have lots of injuries later or your things come on later, can you reopen the case or what?
No, you really cannot. If the insurance company has done their job, and of course they're very good at this, then what you sign when you accept that settlement is a full release of claim. You say, we're done. Because the insurance company doesn't want to pay out and pay out and pay out and pay out and keep paying. They want to, when they settle, they want to put an end to it. So you'll sign a release that says, I'm not bringing any more claims.
I gotcha.
That's why that quick settlement is dangerous regardless of who's advocating it.
So I guess don't get in a hurry. If you're in an accident, keep very good records and keep in touch with your doctor. Talk about what's happened to me, what can I expect, and then how long would you give it? Do you even have an estimation of time?
I'm not a doctor. I'm going to leave that up to the doctors. When the doctors say we've reached as much medical improvement as we can, or in lieu of you're completely healed, then that's when we're going to look at closing that case and settling it out.
But it's a 5-year statute of limitations, so any time between now and 5 years, I mean, 1 day prior to the 5-year deadline, you can go ahead and file it.
You can file the lawsuit, and then it's filed. The statute of limitation no longer applies. So if you need another 2-3 years, potentially you could get that. The court allowed it.
Okay.
Interesting. Good to know. Will Worsham. All right. If you have a legal question for Will, email him at wworsham@color10.com. He'll answer your question right here on Ozarks Live. Good to see you.
Thank you, Will.
Thanks so much. All right. Coming up on this Biz and Tech Tuesday, there's a fairly new vintage shop in Ozark. Soaps, jewelry, vintage furniture. Kelly loves this place. She has it all. We'll show you that next. Thank you very much.